Welcome to Embedded Analytics with ABAP CDS view. If anyone expects to learn something about JavaScript, he's wrong. All front ends are completely generated or have not to be programmed. We only look at ABAP CDS views in the backend. And something about me. My name is Klaus Kobler. I'm from Passau, MSG Systems. And I'm working for BW, with BW for about 10 years. And some years ago, ABAP CDS views appeared, and we had a short look in it, and we analyzed how to use it for analytics. And it's pretty a good thing. And for those who don't have the knowledge about multidimensional reporting, there's a short overview of cubes and what is a cube. And then I will proceed with a live demo on the cubes with dimensions and so on, what's possible with cubes. And in the second part, I will show you input-ready planning Excel sheets. It's a feature for those who know BW. Most of the planning from SAP is made with Excel sheets, and so there's a direct connection between Excel sheets and the SAP system. So I will start with the cube and dimension. In normal case, you have in the middle of a cube the so-called fact table. It contains all keys and the measures of which you are interested in. So measures are, for example, amounts or that's quantities, and it contains the keys to all dimension tables. The dimension tables, for example, here are customer, and in the dimensions are all attributes of the entities. So if a customer, for example, has a street or a city or something like that, it's automatically is contained in the cube. On the cube, on the top of the cube, you have a query, and the query is for defines the default layout of the UI. The strength of the cube is the possibility to slice, dice, and drill up and drill down. This means that you have a lot of data and you can filter, you can slice. For example, in the location, if you see at the left side here, you can take one dimension here and take it into analysis, or if you want to dice it out, you can take a very special subset of this cube and go into detail. So also drilling up and drilling down is a strength of the cube. And yeah, as you see at the graphic here, you will go down to the lowest level of the data. So if you think of, let's say, some accountings with bookings, and you can finally go down to the lowest level, so that the analysis why something is wrong or something is pretty easy. And this picture, I don't know if everybody knows about CDS views. They have so-called annotations inside. And the annotations contain information about the metadata. What does the CDS view? And the architecture is as follows. You have on the top, you have the query. I can take it like this. You have on the top the query, and you have the special annotation here, analytics query true, and it's based on a cube, which is here on this side. The cube, as the first picture shows, has a lot of dimensions, and each dimension is connected to the cube with foreign key associations. This is all these annotations in this picture which you need to design a cube in ABAP CDS views. Important are also the text views, so that you that you have for every key also the text available, and it's language independent, of course. And yeah. So somebody asked me now, what is a cube exactly? It's only tables. That's true. But you have a special engine which interprets the tables as a cube, so that you can slice and dice and everything. And if you want to use this feature, you have to activate on the S4 system the so-called analytics engine. And out of this analytics engine, which is based on query CDS views, you have the so-called INA or PIX API, which connects you to the Design Studio, to the SAP Business Objects Cloud, which is now called SAP Analytics Cloud, or to Analysis for Office, which is a plug-in for Excel. And this analytics engine allows you to make online analytical processing, which extends a two-dimensional array spreadsheet to make it really available for slice and dice and multidimensional reporting. So, for the demo, I have chosen two different visualizations. The first one is the Design Studio app. It's available on S/4HANA on-premise, and it's in the Fiori Launchpad. And for the second demo, I have chosen the Analysis for Office plugin. You can start any query, any analysis query with this in Excel, which connects to SAP. Okay, then I will start with the demo so that you can see how it's working, and then it may be some clearer. So you're in the Fiori Launchpad, and you have a tile. And if you click on it, you see how it looks like. If you work with a query on a cube, takes some time. So this is the Design Studio app, which is now starting. And come on. Yeah. So this is basically a default view of a cube. It's not that, it's on a very detailed level. And now we start to drill down and we start to make an analysis. So on the left-hand side, you have here the dimensions. Here are the measures on the columns, and on the rows, you have here sections, account seat, and reinsurer. It's an accounting example. So perhaps an account employee is now interested in several things, and he can now start with the analysis. For example, he's only interested in the posting amount or the original amount in the display currency. And so he can start now to remove these measures from display. And now he has only one amount which he can look at it. Then I will do out the section to get it to get a better overview, and also, for example, the account cedent and the reinsurance outside. So what means, for example, the entry code? It's only a number. This is not very good. I say I can display key and text, for example. And I choose here the long description. So now I know that, for example, the entry code number for 1701 is the premium. And, well, that's pretty nice. Let's have a look how much entry bookings are available for this account seedent. So I say I want to see here some totals. And so I have the result. And, well, that's good. But, for example, I want to see here some information about the underwriting area. I will now drag and drop here very easily it into the rows. And so I got the accounting area. But this is not enough. I want to see it, for example, as a hierarchy. Then I can select the hierarchy. And to make it more interesting, I remove the account seedent. And I will filter on the premium. Filter here. So, and then I collapse the hierarchy. And you see here, that's all very dynamic. And it's very easy to get it working. And it's all based on CDS views. There's no OData service and no front-end programming. It's all in the backend, and it's all on CDS views and on CDS queries. You can also, of course, switch here to get a graphic, or you can switch the graphics. You can, for example, if you want to use a pie chart. No, that's not good. But you know what I mean? It's pretty. It does not matter what you want to have. It's inside of this app, and so it's available, and you have nothing to program. It's only CDS views. Summing up is made by the cube and by the query. Another feature is now. Let's look if I have an example. I think is the treaty perhaps. Treaty number here. If I put in the treaty, I first switch here, and I go to, I must slice it a little bit down so that the data is not so much. I take the accounting here inside. And now I take in the treaty. And within the treaty number, you have additional attributes which you can choose. And that's what in the beginning was defined as a dimension. You can additionally, even if it's not here available in the dimensions, here, it's available here. You can say, it's, for example, the treaty category. And now you have here another column with the treaty category. Okay, that so far was the cube and a first introduction into CDS views for analytics, for multidimensional reporting. And the next step I want to show you is the planning possibilities based on CDS views. If you think of the first slide where I explained the architecture, this for planning it's a little bit, you have another level here inside. You have the aggregation level. This means if you want to plan data, you have to aggregate it on several levels. And you can here define on which level you want to modify data. In normal case, if you're working with plan data, you have two sources. You have the current, the actual data, and the plan data on the right side. And both are on CDS views. Then you combine them in a cube with a union. Then you put on the aggregation level. And on the top, there's the CDS query. For this, if you want to use this, there are, of course, a lot of other annotations. You have to specify the query as planning enabled. And for every field, you have to specify the if it's necessary for planning or not. There's something called a disaggregation behavior. Perhaps at that point it's not very clear what this means, but you will see in the demo how it works. And well, disaggregation, I think I show you first the demo, and then I will come back to this slide and show what, and then you understand what disaggregation means and what distribution you can choose. So then you have the aggregation level, the cube, and the write-back class. But first I show you the demo. Hopefully it works. Today in the morning, the guys from our software logistics were still working on the web dispatcher. So perhaps it's not working, but if it's not working, I go directly on the system and then it works. So we have here a tile, and if I click on the tile, the browser asks me to open a file, and this is what the analysis for Office plugin is starting. It takes a little time. And so the query starts, and here are some prompts. You can here, of course, filter or give here some parameters inside. For my usage, I will here choose a plant. And I have to fill in a so-called CO variant. It's not important here. And I press here, go. And I have to make it now full screen. And so we are here on the Excel plugin. And you now see here a planning scenario. You have here quantities, and you want to plan these quantities over several years and over several posting periods. The posting periods in this case are dependent from the fiscal year variant. And now you can start planning how many quantities of this product, which of course you can now here go in and say, I want to see the text. So it's a yogurt. And now I think you can now go perhaps where there's nothing filled in here. So I want to say, I want to plan here, for example, 1,000 pieces. For the next year, I want to plan here 1,100. Then, of course, I take Excel and make it like this. And then I have here a little menu where I can recalculate. And now if I recalculate, a disaggregation happens. Okay, that's the effect of a live demo. Let's look at here. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I have to start again. This happens when you do live demos. Perhaps it's better to make it everything with PowerPoint. Let's start the thing again. So let's say I want to plan here instead of 5,000, I want to plan here 10,000. And now hopefully it works. I push on the analysis button and here on the recalculation button. And now the 10,000 pieces are equally disaggregated over the 12 periods. When I press the Save button, now something called write-back class is writing this back to SAP, and the plan data is stored in tables. As it is a cube, of course, you can now say, I won't only plan 1 year, and I want to have a quite different view of this thing. Let's make it like this. I want to plan only 1 year, but it's more interesting to see the products. So I switch the controlling area to the top, and I switch the fiscal year variant to the top, and I switch the planning period to the top, and I refresh my screen. And now I have a quite different view on the planning data. The periods are in the columns, and of course, if I put here my planning number and press the recalculation button, it's disaggregated equally over the 12 periods. So, switching back to the PowerPoint, some slides before. Perhaps now this slide is more, I can explain what it does. The disaggregation, you have different possibilities of disaggregation. As you have seen it here, I have the total, chosen the total disaggregation, and the proportion and the distribution was equal. You can also choose, for example, the difference. So if you put in here for the 5,000 and there are existing values, then the difference is only disaggregated. Or you can choose a column where a proportional level is defines where the proportional disaggregation over the columns. So this is again the aggregation level, and the write back is happening in a class which you have to implement good old ABAP code. And so there are some examples again here for the disaggregation. We have here a disaggregation total and distribution equal. And I put here the example with 400,000. And this is the current data on the left side. And these are the bookings which are transferred to the backend. That are delta bookings, so that you can sum it up in the cube and that you can have a look what different kinds of bookings are made for every store, for every pressing the storing button. And the result is on the right side. If I have, for example, disaggregation total and distribution proportional, then again I want to have here 400,000 kilograms. This is the current data, it's the base, and you have here the result. And if you see here the 400,000, then it disaggregates it proportional to the current data. So the difference between 400,000 and the current data are the 46,000 kilograms, and these are distributed among the columns, among the planning periods. And finally, here we have an example for the proportional disaggregation. So on the left side, again, you have the current data. And you have here a distribution column, which defines how the data is distributed. Then, for me, for a better understanding, I added here again another column. So the 3.1% means in 100% 4% around. And then you have again here the transferred delta bookings and the result of the delta bookings. So, pretty good. I'm finished. Finally to say, CDS, ABAP CDS views are pretty strong if you use analytics. Multidimensional reporting is that what BW was, and it's now completely inside of S4. It's real time. You don't have to replicate any data, and it's a great stuff. For some experience, I think still BW must be available, because if you have analysis over a lot of data, let's say not only for 1 year, but for 10 years or something like that, then I personally would prefer BW, because I'm a BW guy. So that's finished. So any questions? Yes, please.
What is the advantage of using this instead of a Lumira report?
There's no advantage. It's only another kind of visualization, Lumira. It's also available to get Lumira, to connect Lumira to ABAP CDS views and to queries and to make the whole analysis stuff like this. But I've chosen now the app because I don't have installed Lumira. So that I can show you something, I've used this app.
And does the design studio have any options to configure for certain new fields, or to add other filters, implicit filters, input parameters, stuff like that?
You have to define it in the query. So you define the query and you define filters, you define if the filter is mandatory, you define if the filter is, if it's a select option or something like that. You can all define this in the query with annotations. So it's not necessary to do here anything in the front end. But if you like Lumira and you want to do it, it's also possible there.
Probably it's not my option.
Okay. Any further questions?
Do you know with what release of NetViewer this is available?
Oh, the ABAP CDS views with analytics annotations were available with 7.40, I think.
Okay, so it's also before
But
S/4HANA that this was.
yeah, but it's not recommended to use it without a HANA database.
Ah, okay.
So I think it worked really good with 7.5.1. So if you want to use it, please wait until this release, if your customer has installed this release. Fine. Thank you.